Good day, everybody. It's Michael Levitis with jurisq.com, and we're back with our repeat attorney we see very often, very wise, give us a lot of good information, especially regarding divorce law, family law. Marina Shepelsky. Marina, thank you. Welcome back.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
And Marina, I like calling you back, not because you are just an attorney, but you're also sort of a family therapist, not licensed, but because you've seen so much, you heard so much in your career and your practice with all your clients, both men and women, that you have a lot of advice to give, not just in law, but also in marital issues. And we want to ask you a few questions, some advice for men and women. Okay, so let's start off with the first question. Marina, in your practice, why do you see that women initiate divorce more often than men, and particularly college-educated women start divorce more often than others?
You know, it's really funny. When I talk about divorces, I really like to talk about the more wide issues of relationships, right? Mm-hmm. And divorce is kind of like the end, right? But there's always a story to what happened before the couple got there, right? And people often are surprised about these statistics that you mentioned. Right. I watched one of these, like Good Morning America, or one of those shows like a year ago, and there was a whole sociology study done. Mm-hmm. And it turns out, to many people's surprise, that women are, if they're not college educated, they're like 67% of the time the initiators, the ones who make the final cut and say, okay, we're getting divorced. Okay. And if they have a college education or college degree, then it goes to 90. Really? 90% is like a huge, overwhelming statistic. That means only 10% of the time a man would leave a college-educated woman on his own, right? Oh, so shocking. What does that mean, and why does it happen? Mm-hmm. First of all, I think it proves the theory that a college-educated woman, and I have 3 daughters, and I'm always saying this to them, is a huge asset. So she's the one who gets to pick, okay? Mm-hmm. If she's going to stay or she's going to go. And that is the underlying, like, kind of trend here, right? That a college-educated woman who does everything that she always did, cooking, cleaning, having kids, raising kids, or at least now being like in charge of it, right? Being the manager of that kind of that part of marital life. Now that woman also has a job and makes as much money as the man. So why would anybody leave that, right? 90% is the woman who leaves. So why does it happen? Yeah. And there's like many reasons, but the main one is, first of all, the fact that a woman now can have a college education, can have a mortgage in her name, because this wasn't the case as early as like 1980s or as late as 1980s. Women still needed a man to co-sign, to be a second signer for a mortgage, even if the money was all hers. Mm-hmm. So the fact that women reached the point, the fact that women reach the point of complete financial independence means that she's now able to get her own house and support herself and her kids, being single, being divorced, not as hesitant
leaving a man. She has her own means, right, and resources to be on her own.
Right. Because she doesn't need to have a breadwinner anymore. She is right. The breadwinner. And right. Yes, of course, it takes sacrifice. Obviously, when you go from 2 incomes to 1, it's always hard. But if you're really miserable and unhappy, a college education now gives you a different perspective, right? Mm-hmm. And if you have a college education, that means you're a well-rounded person. And now you're thinking about things like, your mental, and I'll talk about that, your mental, spiritual development, learning more, growing as a human being. And if you're not in that place, you have the financial ability to just leave and start over. You can just get your own place, you get your own apartment and start over. So that's number 1, financial independence. Okay. Number 2, women that, I just mentioned this, women are still doing the lion's share of household work, right, of cooking, of taking care of the kids. Nowadays, a lot of people are working from home. So it's always the mom who ends up managing the kids working from home on their computers. I have a friend, she has 4 kids. She runs a huge roofing company. Like they do a lot of home renovation stuff. And now she can't even work until 2:30 p.m. because she has all the 4 kids. Well, now COVID is over, that stopped.
She must be
But
working 24/7.
For a year and a half, when the kids were working on their little computers, and she had one as young as like, I think 7 or 6 in the school system up until high school. She was in charge of taking care of all of them, be in school, at home, while she would do like her books and her invoices and stuff. As soon as school would be over, she would put them in the car and they would go to work with her. Okay, that's happening right now. Women who are CEOs and executives are still taking care of their kids and managing school, you know, fundraisers, and does he need a different outfit for the gym class today, and sneakers, and medical visits, and all of that. The men are still using the old mindset that he is just like the breadwinner and he can just
women, they
come
must
home
be
and have hot dinner. That's exactly reason number 2. Women are overwhelmed. That's reason number 2. Women are overwhelmed. And when you're balancing so many different things, you're going to drop the one thing that's annoying you the most. And that's the husband. Okay? Because in those situations, the husband annoys you the most. He is like a grown child, kind of. And I'm not saying this is all men. I love men. I'm not like trying to make men bad or wrong. But I'm, you know, and I have a husband. So it's not like I hate men. I'm just saying that in that situation, a woman is going to drop the man because he's annoying her and not
dropping her career.
And at this point,
dropping her kids or dropping her man.
Exactly.
She's going to pick the man.
What's causing her the most stress and the least happiness? The husband, because he's, you know, not helping, he's not pulling his share of the work. And I don't blame men. We were raised in a different time. These are different times and things are changing so quickly. But these are things that should be worked on. Number 3 reason is the communication breakdown. Women are not taught to say how we feel, what we want, and what we don't want, and what we need. We're used to like suppressing it. From when we were little kids, men are used to just express their feelings. It's okay for a man to be angry and to punch somebody. For a woman, we can't hit. We're girls, we are taught to be passive aggressive, and that shit builds up. Excuse my language. Right. So, and that stuff really builds up. So when you don't know how to communicate, this is where I'm putting a little bit blame on the woman.
Okay.
And you don't express it to the man as much. And he doesn't understand that every fight, every disagreement, when she's needing that support or whatever, that's another brick in the wall to the divorce, you know? So women don't know what to ask for and men don't know what to give. And I mean like emotional, right? So that's a huge thing. And then of course things change. When you have kids, your relationship changes. It goes from having, you know, sexy time together as a couple to now being parents of screaming flesh and blood that poops and pees all the time. That puts so much pressure on you, right? It changes everything. And then they grow up and they go to college and then you look at him and you're like, you don't even know why he's here anymore. You know, things have changed so much. You look at a stranger. Yeah. Like people just don't communicate. They become strangers. They no longer feel like this is their partner. They don't feel connected. And then why even stay together, right?
Okay.
A lot of people are held together by children and finances, right? But like I said, as children get older, there's even a song about this, right? It's called Landslide. And Joni Mitchell, she sings, you know, times grow old, I'm getting older, children get older, times grow colder, children get older, I'm getting older too. You know, like you get older, you get wiser, your kids are growing up, you don't care so much that they're worried now about your divorce, you're not going to traumatize them, maybe they're already college students, the finances have worked themselves out already, so you just leave. That's another major reason, you know, communication breakdown and like change over time. Okay. And also, I spoke to another psychologist, a friend of mine, and he said to me, look, Marina, people's longevity now is much longer. So if your life expectation used to be 55, 60 years, now it's like 95. Our kids will probably live to 95 or to even 100.
Before was okay.
That would be normal.
Before was like this. I could speak with a guy he only has until 50, 60. I'm fine.
Right.
Now, he could be alive until 80, 90 and more.
Right. So that thought really depresses somebody, a
You
woman
probably
who
see
is
more
like
and
already
more.
miserable.
You probably see more and more older people getting divorced.
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. We see people getting divorced after 20 or 30 years.
Okay.
And listen, people now change careers 3 times
Right.
in their lifetime before they retire. Some
Sure.
people, like, I don't even plan to really retire. Maybe I'll just work less, but I'm not going to fully retire. Why?
Yeah,
Right? A lot
Marina,
of careers
I
don't
do
need
not
to
see
retire.
retiring. I do not see retiring. Absolutely.
Right. You just slow down, you take more trips, whatever. But when you have the same spouse through all of that, people start thinking, okay, you know, I deserve somebody younger, men and women, right? I deserve to have a new sexual adventure. I deserve to start over, you know. So those are like the major reasons. We can go on and on about this, but that pretty much summarizes, I think, like everything. And the final and most important point, more important than anything I just mentioned, women are so much more flexible and easily adaptable than men to change. Men are so afraid of change. Men will always pick stability and being unhappy over potentially being happy, but something changes and being unstable, right? And a divorce is definitely unstable for them.
That's
like
an interesting declaration. Okay.
So, like, and I see this actually in my immigration practice, interestingly enough, because women and men come here, husband and a wife. The wife, like, okay, she was a doctor in Pakistan, for example, right? She was a doctor. She comes here. She has to be a cleaning lady, a babysitter, maybe cook for somebody while going to school, while taking care of the kids. And women are like, they're not super happy, but they're like okay with this. They make friends, they learn about the school system, they have friends in their kids' school, they adapt and quickly, and they learn the language and they don't complain. They don't bitch and moan, they just do. Men, they fall apart. A man, the husband comes from Pakistan and he went from being a doctor, a respected physician, to driving an Uber. Oh my God, that's it. This is going to be a divorce situation. This is going to be a depression situation.
Fragile ego. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, men are more fragile mentally, generally speaking. Now, men are strong. They'll go and fight a war, right? But when they come back, they're going to have the post-traumatic stress disorder and just fall apart, and they won't be able to function. Women are not the kind of people who will go and fight in the war. But if the war comes, they will stand up and do their stuff and do their thing. And when the war is over, they'll still be taking care of their kids and the men and the grandkids. You see what I'm saying? Women are like, we're taught and programmed almost on the DNA level to be caretakers our whole life. We almost can't afford to fall apart. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how to, but men are allowed to fall apart. And when they're, you know, being brought up, they're allowed to have fits of anger and punching and fighting and expressing themselves. So they do. That's good, actually. That's a good thing. Women repress. So we all have different problems, but the bottom line is men are less adaptable, less flexible. So they will not pick a divorce.
In your practice, you accept both men and women as
absolutely.
So
and we know how to work with both.
Your phone number on the bottom of the screen. And if anybody has any questions on divorce, what's required, how should you prepare, what to expect, call Marina Shepelsky at the number we're going to have in the bottom of the screen. And if you have more questions for us, please post in the comments below on our website, jewishq.com, on our Facebook page, on our Twitter, on our Instagram. We're all over social media, and so is Marina Shepelsky. And Marina, thanks again. This was quite an insight into the psyche of college-educated women. Thank you, and we'll see you next time with another great topic. Have a good day.